What's cracking, guys? You back here with your boy Codex Reacts for another episode. So if you haven't done already, hit and smash the like button for me. Smash that subscribe button. Be part of the family. And now, let's get into it. If it's real, it's just crazy. The Bigfoot can handle a bear. Look at that.
It's a beetle that they find in the wild, and this beetle might be the reason we're able to make flying cars, flying everything, literally levitating hoverboards, all of that.
Okay, let me see.
So it's the same scientist that he took a beetle wing, he placed it on top of another beetle wing, and it like bounced off almost as if it was a magnet.
Oh, okay.
Check this out.
Oh, maybe I have seen this video.
Series.
This is a real video.
Today we're
He
going
just
to
tested
get
it.
one of these shells to hover over the other one. The original of this video.
Yeah, let me put it up. So this is that scientist you put on top. And it floats on top. It levitates on top. Look, he's gonna do it right now.
Yeah.
Literally, there's no effects, no nothing. Look, you see it? It's like hovering. Look, you see it? It's hovering.
Shit.
It's literally hovering, bro.
That's
Wild.
That's straight off, like you said, frequency, right?
So, what if you use a microscope and go deep into what the wings are made of? The pattern is what? Is the same geometric.
Is that why beetles were sacred to ancient Egyptians?
The solo cups, some metal foil, and a speaker cone spring. But when I put this thing up against my beehive, have y'all ever heard of anything like this before?
But there's no sunlight coming in and hitting that light, right? So I'm holding my phone, I'm just gonna walk closer and closer, and as we walk closer, look at the reflection. Damn it, I had the phone plugged in. Look at the reflection. The lights are on. But the lights are not on.
Now they're all watching the movie. Look at it. What the
very 80s looking guitar, and every time I strum, like that, shit like that happens every time I mess with this thing. Shit like that.
What is something you've seen in an exorcism that leads you to believe this cannot merely be an issue of mental health, that this is actually supernatural?
Let me say this first. So only God is supernatural. Demons, we would say, are preternatural.
Okay.
So they're above our understanding of nature. That's why demons can do things that we would say, well, that's not humanly possible.
I see.
How is a body levitating? How is, head spinning, or a body crawling up the wall like a spider? These types of things.
All right, those three things. Have you seen anything remotely like those things?
I've seen them all.
You've seen a body levitating, a head spinning, and someone climbing up a wall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not surprised.
Food is Satan's secret weapon. The children of Israel went down into Egypt and were slaves for 400 years because they were looking for food. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for food. The scripture said for one morsel of meat, he sold his birthright. Naomi and Elimelech went down to Moab for food. Maybe that's why it says in the New Testament, whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God. He's used it to kill more people in world history than any other weapon. Most Americans dig their graves with a knife and fork. I'm telling you, your health, use it. Your fitness, use it, or you will lose it. You say, Myron, what are you saying? I'm saying we gotta take this health and fitness thing seriously. This is our temple. This is the tool. This is the instrument that we will use to to us to accomplish our mission. We got to take it serious.
And he's just speaking the truth. No matter how much money you have, if you're sick, you won't have the luxury to enjoy it.
She's the first female in the world to have male hands, quite literally, and it's left doctors completely baffled. In 2016, 18-year-old Shreya was in a car accident that left both of her arms crushed, and she had to get them amputated above the elbow. The next year, she had a donor for a double arm transplant, but what happened over time is what confused doctors. The donor arms were from a 21-year-old man who had much larger hands than Shreya's. He also had a much darker skin complexion and was hairier. Her new arms were going to be manly. A team of 20 surgeons spent 13 hours attaching the arms, and over the next few years they started to change. Shreya's new arms were adapting and became more feminine over time. The skin started to lighten and match Shreya's normal skin complexion, and they weren't nearly as hairy, but they also took on a much more feminine shape and grew smaller.
There's a law in physics that basically says that when you have energy that is vibrating at a particular frequency, within 17 seconds, other energy like that will be attracted to it. So if I'm having a positive thought or a negative thought, then what happens is that energy is attracted to it. I have other thoughts that are like that thought. So if you do that 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17, for 68 seconds, then momentum begins to occur. So let's say that I'm normally, all of our emotions have a frequency to it. So if I'm in despair or anger or worry, all of those are lower, denser frequencies. You get into things like contentment, happiness, joy, love. Those are higher, faster frequencies. So let's say that I normally live in contentment, and that's my set point, because that's where I live. I think about that all the time. That's what my makeup is, that sort of thing. So I'm driving down the highway. All of a sudden, a car cuts me off, and I get angry. So now I'm in the lower, denser frequencies. And so then I go back to the office, and I'm telling all my colleagues, you know, here's what happened. You know, this knucklehead cut me off. Go home, tell my wife that. What am I doing? I'm vibrating angry energy. So I go to the supermarket, and there is somebody in line. I have 3 items, and I'm getting in line, and somebody ahead of me has 38 items. And the guy that's running the cash register, it's his first day, and he's not doing very well. He's very slow. Is that a coincidence? No, it's something for me to get angry about. So I'm attracting into my world whatever it is that I'm vibrating. So where my thoughts are, that's what's creating my reality.
You're having a bad day and it's just getting worse. So you have just to snap out of it and bring positivity. And then you attract more positive things. And he's right, 200% right. Science guy, but science will never be taught in school.
The Ark of the Covenant ain't some spooky little story. It's
what do you think it is? Think it's like a nuclear generator or something like that? What do you think it is?
Whatever the nucleus is that would nuclearly power something that would have initially been in the pyramids would also have been in the Ark of the Covenant, which would be the same thing. It's something that you can't fuck with, and it's radioactive, and it's very powerful.
That's why they gotta put all the rocks around it. Oh shit.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody's telling any crazy stories, my man. Not globally.
No.
Everything.
Well, it gets less crazy every year. It gets less crazy every year. 20 years ago, talking about any of this stuff was straight up nonsense.
Yes.
But now people are like, hold on. That's probably what disclosure actually looks like. It looks like a slow trickle integration into the zeitgeist to the point where it's just normal.
Because a lot of times they're right.
Joe Brown telling the truth. Joe Brown been talking cash money bullshit, and nobody's put a gag order on him. Nobody's hit him with a cease and desist, and nobody's threatening him with defamation, which means only one thing: he ain't lying. So if he's not lying about her, why do we want her to be president? All they're going to do is use everything about her against us. She's too busy f***ing everyone in the cabinet to run your country. That'll be the first thing they say. They'll attack her sexuality. Well, who do you got over there, Montel? Like, why do we want that? I think black people should vote for black Americans. Cornel West and Dr. Abdullah are black Americans. If we vote D and C, we're voting for liars. It's just that simple. The DNC is lying. I don't trust the Republicans either. Please vote for Kamala, because she'll make sure that when your daddy, when you're 12, you can get an abortion too. Like, we don't just need to make sure that we stop leaving fathers in the house that think it's good to impregnate their 12-year-old daughters. That sounds like more of the issue than pregnancy to me. The one thing they didn't mention in that story was when her father was charged and sent to jail for it.
I didn't know about that.
It doesn't matter if he had the nuclear codes. Okay. The Presidential Records Act, and Bill Clinton took literally recordings of a classified conversation and took them when he left the presidency, and he put them in his sock drawer. It's called the Clinton sock drawer case. No bullshit. They went to federal court, the government, and the federal court adjudicated that President Clinton, as a president, has the Presidential Records Act. He can take what he wants. The court never even found out what was on the recording. So then why does this DOJ come in and say, well, it doesn't kind of apply to Trump? And then you interview Joe Biden, and he was never president. He had 4 different locations of 20 years of classified information. Delaware, his offices in Washington, D.C., and 2 other locations. But their excuse to not prosecute Joe Biden was, well, basically he's too inept, he's too feeble-minded, so we're not going to prosecute him. That's not, I've never heard that. Garland came out and literally said, well, we don't think Joe Biden meant to do it. And I was like, what? I was like, we're back to the Clinton case, the Clinton server case, right? It's like when Comey created this new legal fiction. No reasonable prosecutor, first of all, it's not the FBI's job to ever make a prosecutorial decision, but no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. I was in the National Security Division at the time. I was doing the discovery for Benghazi, where we found her freaking email. And then they took that investigation away from us.
The game is crooked, guys. What do you guys think?
We talk about the viral video going with the thermal in Mexico with the thermal camera. Did you show this to me before?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay, so there was this group of friends that were camping in an area that was very open, right? And one of them felt like there was someone like looking at them.
Yeah.
So they had their tent set up and stuff like that, and that one person kept going, guys, like, I think there's someone around us. I hear something around us. I don't think it's a animal. It's like I hear steps, right? So that same night, there was a guy with a drone. He was like, okay, we'll put the drone up. It has thermal. So we'll walk around with the drone and see if that person follows us. We'll see, right? Yeah. So in the video, there's like 6 white people because it's thermal, and they're walking, and they move the drone kind of like to the right behind them. There's one person following, and it's a person walking towards them, right? Yeah. So they start running back to the camp area, and they sleep it off. Next day, they see the footprints of a person, and like some of their stuff is gone, right? So they put it up again at night, that same night, right? They put it up, and they see a person just standing, looking, facing towards their campsite, like far away, but they're looking in the direction, right? Yeah. The person goes, okay, let me put it on the computer. I can change it back to the regular, and we can zoom in to see what it is. They zoom in, fam. Yeah. On the thermal, it looks like a person. I don't know why, but on the normal camera, it's a deer. But no, the whole time in the video, you can see a person walking.
Wait, so it's like, so it's a deer or it's a person?
It kind of like transformed. They're like, why is it a deer? The whole time we can see arms and legs in the thermal vision.
And that deer is looking straight up. He knows. Creepy.
7th, I don't think many people were engaged with what is happening in Israel. You know, we kind of all said the same thing. Israel is our friend and ally. I count myself among those people. Post October 7th, the world, and especially I would say Zionists in media, were demanding that we all pay attention. And when we began to pay attention, we didn't like what we saw. You cannot tell me to ever feel comfortable with 18,000 children being ruthlessly murdered. You can't get me to feel comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives dropped, tons of explosives dropped on Gaza than were dropped in Hiroshima. This doesn't make sense to me. Gaza is 30 miles long, 7 miles wide. It's incredibly dense population. And this is, by the way, according to Haaretz, that 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. I believe they're getting those numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is an act of evil. The lies that you are telling, not just on me, but also on my family members, are a good example for the world to see what we are referring to when we call something radical Zionism.
18,000 children. That's a genocide, period.
Have any particular species of extraterrestrial that hangs out there more than others?
Has large groups of Sasquatch.
Yes, thank you. You know how many people up there are just going to want to hug you for saying that? So the Sasquatch, are they related to like Cro-Magnon? There's a lot of stories about that.
They are mostly related to the idea of the early naturally evolved hominids on your planet that you refer to as Homo habilis.
Oh, interesting.
Homo erectus.
Cool.
The idea of the ancient extraterrestrials called the Anu, who arrived on your planet hundreds of thousands of years ago and used some of those early hominid beings to inject genetic material in them and create Homo sapiens, did not necessarily use every branch of the hominid. The ones that were not altered by extraterrestrial genetics continue to evolve into what you now understand to be Sasquatch. Therefore, they are the naturally evolved hominid of the Earth. If the extraterrestrials had not altered the DNA of some of the Homo habilis, Homo erectus beings, today you would all be Sasquatch. But they have evolved to the point where they understand how to use interdimensional vortices, and that's why they're so difficult to find.
That's also what the First Nations teach up there.
They call it slipwalking.
Hmm.
They can slip from one reality to another.
Is there a whistling? People talk about them whistling.
Yes, sometimes. That's part of their language.
Fascinating.
There is one particular female Sasquatch in that area that the information on which has actually been downloaded into the channel for his use in his novels. The name of that female Sasquatch is Tsemiquest. Tsemiquest.
Tsemiquest.
Yes, Tsemiquest. So in that area, you may allow yourself in meditational form, in contacting and connecting to nature and the earth, to open up to the idea of the vibrational name of Tsemiquest and see what happens.
So in the video documentation, the film shows a woman lying on in a hospital room. She's fully awake, she's fully conscious, she believes in the process that's about to happen. Before her, there is an ultrasound technician who is running an ultrasound wand over her lower abdomen that we can see on a split-screen television. And on the left-hand side of the screen, they do a snapshot, a freeze frame of an instant in time for reference, so we can see what her condition looked like in that instant in time. On the right-hand side of the screen, we are able to watch real time as 3 practitioners stand behind her, working with the energy in her body and with the feelings in their bodies. And what they do is they begin to chant a word that to them they've agreed upon, that reinforces the feeling within them that she's already healed. The chant essentially says already healed, already done. And as they begin to have this feeling and to say these words among themselves, on the computer screen, on the television screen, we can watch in real time this cancerous tumor as it disappears in less than 3 minutes real time. It's not like time-lapse on a documentary where you see a rose unfold in 30 seconds and something that normally takes days. This literally happens in less than 3 minutes. Her body responded to the feelings of the practitioners who were trained to have the kinds of feelings that they were having. And all they were feeling was the feeling of what it feels like to be in the presence of a woman who is already healed.
So with your mind and your thoughts, you can just create a new reality. This is real, guys.
Trouble?
14 hours before anyone knew about the Chris Benoit tragedy, the wrestler's Wikipedia page was updated.
He posted before they found the bodies, before anybody knew anybody was. His was the only post. Yeah.
The entry stated that Benoit had missed the pay-per-view due to the passing of his wife, Nancy.
I posted the message, Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
But it's just all of this came up before they even found the bodies.
Yeah.
And you posted hours before. I mean, you can turn yourself from a prank to a suspect.
Suspicious of the timings, officers begin to question the man on his whereabouts.
Where were you Friday night?
Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
I think I was home.
Okay. You were home all night?
Yeah.
Okay. Saturday. Run me through your day.
Saturday. I think I was just really home.
Gotta make sure he wasn't in Georgia. You've caused a big frenzy.
Yeah.
All right.
Having ruled the man out of being present during the incident, questions remain over the very strange coincidence of where he actually was.
You know what, I was thinking because he's from Stanford, there might have been a concern that he had some connection.
Well, I'm sure there was some of that.
He actually lived around the corner.
It's revealed that the man lives around the corner from the WWE HQ.
And I have no connection whatsoever to WWE.
I gotta ask you, why did you post it on Wikipedia?
It was just a stupid thing. I can't really explain. It was just, I was just hearing things that they're Ben was saying just throwing they were sick or something, and I added my own true speculation. Never did I expect that to actually be the case. The next night when I got home from work, then I saw the picture of Benoit. I was like, are you serious? I was in total disbelief. I thought it was just such a huge coincidence.
Do you follow him much on the WWE?
He was one of my favorite wrestlers. So I follow watch his matches and stuff.
Mm-hmm. If you cooperate, give us a computer. I don't have to do a search warrant for it, and we'll get a forensic examination of it for Georgia. For all facts. So we're concluding 1402, and we're going to head over to your house. Okay.
After questioning, the man was cleared of any wrongdoing and found to have no involvement in the Chris Benoit incident.
Hey, what do you guys think? I do believe these dudes are just a premonition. Is that too hard to admit?
Kona Blue have anything to do with the program David Grush says exists. News Nation's Joe Khalil is here now with more. Joe, there is a tiny credibility question here. The Pentagon has been saying for the past year there was never any such reverse engineering program. Now it says, oh, there was one, but it never really got started.
Yeah, there were rumors about this program, the codename Kona Blue, for a long time now. And it was only last month that they acknowledged for the first time ever that it existed. Now we are getting an inside look at how this program was propped up. So it's called Kona Blue. It is real. It was a special access program, very highly classified. It was proposed from the Pentagon to the Department of Homeland Security. We now have all of these declassified documents, and in them, it describes the purpose of the program as, and I'm going to quote here, acquiring, studying, and engineering technology that the U.S. got from UAPs, or UFOs. In the documents, it refers to them as AAVs, Advanced Aerospace Vehicles. Ultimately, the program was scrapped by the Department of Homeland Security, but not before years of planning went into it from the Pentagon, and it describes in detail how they stood the program up. They set a budget, $12 million to $15 million the first year, going all the way up to $50 million down the road. And the program in these documents now also makes specific reference to locations in Nevada where some material may be housed. It also references recovered UAP material, personnel with knowledge of recovered technology, and also personnel who know of the whereabouts of this. And just lastly, if you think this sounds to sci-fi or that this was maybe one or two rogue employees at the Pentagon. In these documents, it also shows that the Undersecretary of Science and Technology signed off on this program and approved it, saying in these documents that it was a necessary step for national security. So all of that is in here now. We did get a response from the Department of Homeland Security today, and they said simply, quote, while this program was considered under a prior administration, it was never fully established by the Department of Homeland Security. DHS has released these classified documents consistent with its commitment to transparency. So, Elizabeth, it looks like we now have some very clear specifics about what was in this, at least proposal, for this plan from the Pentagon.
Wait, you mentioned some budget figures there in the tens of millions of dollars. Was that money ever spent? Was money ever spent on Blue Kona?
I don't believe the money was spent. The money was effectively sort of earmarked within the DoD's budget or the Pentagon's budget, but the program, to my understanding, was scrapped before that money was spent because it was allocated specifically for year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 3 being an expectation for what they would need at that point.
And what do we make of the fact that they keep talking about locations in Nevada and material being housed in Nevada? What is that a reference to?
In 1933, the government got themselves into trouble and they owed a lot of gold. And so what'd they do? Article 6102, they declared a bank holiday. All the banks shut down for a week. No one could get their money out of the bank. When the banks opened back up, gold's illegal. You're not allowed to own it, and you can't get your gold out of the bank. Don't worry, though. We're going to give you your $20 per ounce. Here you go. These debt instruments. We're going to give them to you, but they're not redeemable for gold anymore. And by the way, it's not $20 per ounce anymore. Now it's $35 per ounce. So you just lost 60% of your wealth instantly.
Oh, my God.
So we know that we can't trust them because they fail over and over and over. Then now gold is $35 per ounce. So that continued on to the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. By we get to the 50s and the 60s, all these nations around the world are like, wait a minute, what is going on? You're printing way too many dollars. We don't want these paper certificates. We want the gold. So they start collecting their gold from the U.S. France sends their warships over to the U.S. to collect the gold. And President Richard Nixon in 1971 said, nope, we default on our obligations. We will not pay out the gold. The gold window is closed and the dollar is no longer pegged to gold. Now, this was a really big deal because in 1944, under what's called the Bretton Woods Agreement, the entire world agreed collectively that the dollar would be pegged to gold and all the currencies would be pegged to the dollar. But the U.S. lied the whole time. They printed too many dollars. And when that severed, not did just the dollar get disconnected from gold, all currencies did. So we're 52 years or now 53 years into this fiat money experiment that the world has never seen before.
At the end of the day, they can be trusted. But the real question is, what did they use all of that gold for? Reverse engineering of alien craft? Opening portals? Who knows? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit and smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, be part of the family, stay woke, and I'll catch you next time.